Hello and welcome to this latest video from the Abbott's Newton layout. In this video I'm going to try and show you how you can expand your loco or coach fleet without breaking the bank. I'm not going to use this video to slate RRP prices of the main manufacturers. They will charge what they want to charge for new models, and some models, for example this Hatton's P class, which retails at £90, is worth every single penny. It runs beautiful, it looks beautiful, and it is well worth the money. As this layout is based on the western region, roughly Abbott's Newton is based around Newton Abbott and Exeter, hence its name. I wanted to have 2 or 3 HST rakes in a couple of different liveries. This power car in the middle is a Hornby Railways brand new high spec model. These have an RRP of over £300 now, and they are very nice. As you can see, it's got working lights and it has a lot of finesse about it. It has see-through grills, fan in the top, all-wheel pickup. It's got brake disc representation, cab interior, you name it, it's pretty much got it. But it does come at quite a hefty price tag. If you want more than one HST plus several rakes of coaches, you're looking into the thousands of pounds, not hundreds. These 2 power cars on either side are Lima products from the 1980s, 1990s. They may not have the same finesse, but they can be made to run just as well as the 20th century Hornby version in the middle. So the purpose of this video is for me to show you how I've modified some older stock to expand my fleet and make it run reliable on digital, and also have the slow speed capacity that is demanded by modelers these days. All the modifications I've done to these locos are pretty simple for the average modeler. I've not done anything too strenuous, although when we come to the 117 unit that was quite an involved rebuild, but we'll get to that later. Now these Lima power cars, they might not have the finesse of the Hornby one. There is no see-through grills or roof fan, no brake disc representation, etc. They do have a cab interior, and lights can be fitted if you want to buy an aftermarket DCC conversion. To get this to run as good as the Hornby one, it was relatively simple. If you look underneath, you can see that the wheels have been polished, so they are shiny brass. The pancake motor has been fully serviced, brand new traction tyres, and then on the front bogie, which only collected power from one rail, it now collects power from both. I've added pickups to this side, polished the wheel backs, and it runs a treat. The other modification I've made to this power car is I've added 80 grams of extra weight. The reason being is I run scale length trains on this layout. All my HST sets are 7 cars to represent early Great Western practice, or practice from cross-country services, which are always 7 coaches. You can buy replacement motors for Lima, but they're not powerful enough, in my experience, to move a full rake of HST coaches. They're okay in units, such as 3-car 117s, or indeed single-car 121s. But to move a scale-length HST rake, you really do need the grunt of one of these Lima pancake motors. I'm now going to show you the slow running capacity that I've managed to obtain with this power car. This is fitted with a Bachmann 36553 decoder. Nothing fancy, just hardwired in, and with the extra pickups on the front. And as you will see, slow running capacity is very, very good. It has a good high turn of speed as well, and is able to shift a full 7-car rake. The blue power car in the background has had exactly the same modifications. The extra weight on the power car is added around this area, so that the traction tyres have enough grip. A lot of people don't like traction tyres, they're put off by them. Admittedly I was, but to get a new HST rake for the price I did, it's a small price to pay. As I mentioned earlier, the Hornby HST has a retail price of about £329 now for the power cars alone. These power cars, the Swallow ones from Lima, I bought from the local model shop for £40 for a pair, and the blue and grey set over at the back I obtained for £30 from a social media selling site. That is not a great deal of money in comparison to the Hornby Railways version in the middle. And as you will see now, the blue and grey set at slow speed that is able to happily move a full 7-car rake of coaches, and the turn of and the slow speed is phenomenal considering how old this loco is. As you can see there, the blue and grey set will happily run full 7-coach rake with that modified HST. Now we'll just do a quick note about the rolling stock. It's all well and good having the power cars cheap. All the Mark IIIs you're going to see running on the layout today and in this video are Lima products. All of them. Which isn't too bad considering the TGS car for HSTs is exactly the same as the moulding that Hornby now use. That's this one. It's a trailer guard second with no windows here. That is a Lima product, but it is exactly the same tooling. One word I will say is that all the modifications I've done are for code 100 track. I run code 100 track as it's more flexible with wheel profiles. If you run code 75, you will need to change the wheels in all these coaches. As it stands with the Lima wheels, I've just cleaned them all up, made sure they've got no muck on them, and they seem to run nicely. On average, if you go to toy fairs, swap meets, eBay, etc., working out the cost, I've roughly spent £11 per Mark III. That equates to that's £77 a rake, plus your power cars. So looking at the blue and grey set has cost me about £110. Plus the decoder, which is £25, and a couple of little bits of wire, so we ran that off to £30. So you're looking at probably £150 for the rake. That is for a complete HST set, 2 power cars, decoder, etc. has cost less than one set of power cars from Hornby. And if you're willing to run older stock, there's just no comparison in my eyes. That is a bargain, considering that whole train cost me less than one set of power cars. Another word of note with the Lima power cars, because they're so plentiful around at swap meets, you can get dummy cars, power cars relatively cheaply. I found that the Lima plastic for the body mouldings is soft, so if you require to make a drag HST like I've done here, cutting the front hatch out and adding a hook coupling and a couple of air pipes is relatively easy. I have also modified the wheels underneath. These are Bachmann coach wheels with the points filed off, just to give them a bit of a smoother profile. But yeah, for £15 you've got a dummy car there that then you can attach a 47 or a 58 to and pull it over the layout just as they did in real practice, and it hasn't cost a great deal of money. I'll now show you a clip of both HSTs running around the layout. One is in blue and grey, as you can see at the back there, and one is in a mixture of Swallow livery with executive coaches, as was ran in the 1980s, early 90s. next loco we're going to look at is this Airfix 4F. This loco dates from the early to mid 80s, and I dare say it is probably as old as I am. Airfix is not the first company you think of when you think of buying locos for digital conversion or running on DCC. Airfix did a couple of locos in the early to mid 80s. They did a 31 and they did this 4F. This 4F is another second-hand bargain. I paid £25 for this from a local model shop. The previous owner has fitted screw link couplings. I fitted the wire loops. There's also a loco crew, real coal and lamps. This model is, like I said, quite old and not what you'd think about converting to digital. It has one simple modification that makes it run like a dream. Pickups. As you can see there, the pickups have been modified with 2 brass strips, and they pick up from all of the brass loco wheels. The tender has not been modified, apart from having a Hornby stopping plate, keeper plate. This is the Airfix model, and this again is fitted with a TCS decoder. They are very good. It's also got a new tender drawbar there, made out of a piece of brass rod for a slightly closer coupling. Looks wise, it looks like a 4F, and it will pass muster as a 4F. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles as the Bachmann version. It does have wire handrails, does have 3-link couplings, and as I said, looks and performs like a 4F, which is all I want from the model. I'm not bothered if it's loco drive, because again, this has traction tyres, but I've replaced the traction tyres on them and they run nice. They don't leave any residue on the track. As you can see, it's clean, and this has been running around for a good 40 minutes prior to filming. One of the benefits of fitting pickups to the non-powered front driving wheels of this 4F is that it gives it an electrical contact wheelbase larger than that of, say, a Bachmann 03 or indeed the previously seen Hatton's P-Class. It makes current collection extremely reliable. It allows, with the DCC decoder, for nice, smooth, uninterrupted running over both electrofrog and insulfrog points. As I'll demonstrate now, the 4F runs lovely with the additional pickups twinned with the TCS T1 decoder. The smooth run, it is lovely and smooth at slow speeds. The speed pickup is a little jolty, but once you get used to it, it might just be the fact that I use a dynamis controller, but with a controller with a turnable speed, it might be a lot smoother. But there we go. As I said, it looks like a 4F. It hauls trains, and as it's running around at a scale of 40-50 miles an hour, it certainly looks like a 4F. And that's all you want in a model, especially modelers as modelers' budgets get tighter and tighter. Finding gems like this that look good, run good, is a bonus, I think, and that's the whole point in this video. I'll now show you a couple of clips of the 4F running around the layout, and the next unit we'll look at is a Lima 117, which has had a big upgrade from how it left the factory, but we'll see that next. The next train we're going to look at on the video is this Lima 117. This again was picked up online rather cheaply. I think I paid about £45 for it. It was unmodified and I bought it before the Bachmann one was released. It had been announced, but the RRP put me off. Again, it was over £300. Looking at this 117, this is the standard Lima product, but it has been heavily modified. I'll go through each modification that I made, and we'll start with the dummy power car. This was the most heavily rebuilt vehicle. As a release, Lima did not make the coach I have here. All their 117s came with 2 guards compartments. This vehicle was modified with a silver fox detailing part that you basically cut the side of the unit off, place that on with strong glue. I then opted to repaint the entire coach. That is entirely new repaint. That's why the blue is a slightly different shade to the rest of the unit, but I can live with that because when you looked at these units in real life and indeed preservation, the shades of blue can vary depending on the weathering. It's also had a Craftsman detail kit fitted to the ends, and that been painted up with multiple working jumpers, air pipes and lamp brackets. And it's had replacement wheels from Peter's Spares to replace the Lima versions that were on this unit. That was quite a hefty rebuild, to be quite honest with you. If you're not entirely convinced of your own abilities, I'd suggest practice cutting and shooting with other scrap stock. But once you've got the hang of it, as you can see, it makes quite a nice job. And the silver fox parts sit on well, and you can barely see the join there. The centre car on the unit, that wasn't modified hardly at all. Again, it's had replacement wheels, but other than that, it is as Lima issued it. The Craftsman detail kit comes with buffers for all vehicles, so all the buffers have been replaced. But other than that, that's pretty much as it came. There are no lights fitted to this unit, although as with the HST we saw earlier, you can get aftermarket parts to add lights, but I've not done that yet. I'm not entirely convinced of my own skills on wiring and stuff like that. More practice required before I take that on. One big change to the power car. This has also had the Craftsman buffers and Craftsman details added as per the dummy coach. This has had additional pickups fitted to the front wheels, as you can see there. So the whole of the front bogie picks up. But then in there you can see a big silver lump. That is a replacement motor from Strathpether Junction on eBay, who sells these for about £13, which include the adaptation 3D printed plastic parts. You can just make out, if I turn the bogie, you can just see the adapter in there, and it comes with the motor and the adapter, and it is basically a swap for the Lima pancake motor. This motor is very, very good. It runs smoothly, it reacts to the DCC decoder very well. This unit is fitted with another Bachmann 36553 decoder. You may be wondering why I use older decoders. Well, the reason being is when I started in DCC about 10-11 years ago, the Bachmann range was the best of the best. There was no Digitrains or Zimo or DCC concepts out then, and to standardise my entire fleet I just used the same decoder. If I can get hold of the 553s now, because they've been upgraded by Bachmann, I do use them in these sort of things, cut the 8-pin socket off and just hardwire them in. As you saw at the opening shot, this is very good at slow running. That is the CD replacement motor, an all-wheel pickup, and as you can see, look, it runs lovely. That is the slowest. That's notch 1. That's the slowest I can get it, and then stop it like that. The 117 that Bachmann released is a beautiful model. I've seen them in my local shop at Trains for You. The decoration, there's no doubt about it, it is a very, very good model. I just can't justify spending that amount of money at the moment on a model like that. I have children to support, a wife, and general running of a home. So it felt like the models' prices nowadays are becoming a bit out of my reach, which is why I've done this video, just to show you guys that it can still be done relatively cheaply. So for a £300 unit, compared to my 117, I'd say I'd spent approximately £70 to £80 on this. That includes the unit itself, all the wheels that were replaced, the motor replacement, and then obviously the Silver Fox parts, and then I painted it with the airbrush and transfers. So actually thinking about it, including transfers, it was probably pushing more 100. That's a third of the Bachmann model. And for £100, I can live with a 3-car unit that doesn't have lights. So long as the unit runs around and responds to the controller, slows, speed is good, and it looks good. I mean, that looks like a 117. Anybody can see that. It looks like a 117, and like I've just demonstrated, the slow speed on it is lovely. So I will now show you this running around the layout. I'll try and demonstrate the slower speed with it again. And then the next loco that I've modified is a very old Hornby Battle of Britain from 1995. And when you see the slow running capability that I've managed to obtain out of that loco, I hope you're pleasantly surprised. This last model we're going to look at is a Hornby Battle of Britain from 1995. Hornby made this style of Battle of Britain with the pickups in the loco only from about 94 to 99. I know this one dates from 1995, as you can see it's decked out in full golden arrow regalia, and this was a BT's limited edition for Christmas 1995. I was lucky enough to get one. This was one of the very first locos I ever got. My nan and granddad bought me this for Christmas, 95. And to say it's had some use and got some miles on it is an understatement. This loco's ran on over 5 different layouts that I've built and owned. The driving wheels are not original, they've been replaced because the original ones wore out and all the plating wore off them. And I found it was a good runner on DC. Upon converting to DCC, I found the running qualities were reduced dramatically. It was erratic to say the least, and spent many years stored in its box. I upgraded the DCC chip in this to a TCS-T1 decoder, and the running improved a little bit, but not too much. I was then thinking about it, and I thought it was a shame to be in storage, so I looked at adding additional pickups. There's not many places on this you can add additional pickups unless you have a look. And what I did was, you'll have to excuse the long wires because I've not tucked them in yet, but I built a pickup block underneath the tender. That is a plastic hard block glued to the underside, and I'd made the pickups out of brass strip and wire, and then after they were soldered, glued them on there with super glue, and they press onto the metal wheel backs of the tender. And now it picks up from all 6 tender wheels as well as the front 2 driving wheels. As you can see there, this tyre needs replacing. That will be on my to-do list. I do need to tuck these wires in as they're rather long at the moment, but that's only to facilitate it going back into its box, as if I shortened them too much it wouldn't go back in. Once it's on the track and the wires are tucked into the cab, they're not too noticeable at all. To say that adding the pickups has improved the running qualities of this Battle of Britain is a slight understatement. It now runs better than I ever thought it would. If I just give it one notch on the dynamis, the slow running capability of this Battle of Britain is incredible, and it is on par with my newer Hornby one, which is 34006 Bude. That has all-wheel pickup, and this and that one run at exactly the same slow speed. Nobody can argue that that isn't a good runner. Second-hand models of this Battle of Britain type, not necessarily this one, as this was a limited edition, but Lord Beaverbrook, for example, was made at the same time. They sell for between £40 and £50. A decoder again is £25, and the additional pickups, the stuff for that was probably about 15 to 20. So you're looking at £90 for a model as opposed to 160. Not much of a difference with this one, but if your budgets are quite tight, it can make a little saving can make a big difference. It holds its own well with detail against the newer version. Obviously it's not got the finesse, it doesn't have sprung buffers, the buffer beams and this area need more refinement. But again, like the 4F, it looks like a bullied Battle of Britain, and that's the main thing, as when it's hammering around the layout, you can't really tell whether it's a new model or an old model. This model we'll quickly look at is a lot newer than the others in this video. This is a Bachmann Standard 4 tank from around 2006-2007. And you may say, well, what's wrong with that? What needs modifying? Well, not a lot really. It's a good runner, a smooth runner, will haul anything you put behind it, and has a lot of fine detail, including an opening smoke box door with a representation of, when I can get it open, the smoke box and tube plate in there. The modification I made to this, just to make it a bit more reliable when I used to run Insulfrog points, was to add pickups to the pony truck. As you can see, the difference in running on DCC is not that noticeable because I run Electrofrog points now on digital, but when I was DC with Insulfrog, having those pickups on the back there was invaluable, as it is quite a short wheelbase loco. For pickups, it used to stutter sometimes, but now it is quite good with just a little bit of work and a little bit of simple wiring to add some pickups to the back of it. One thing I will touch on quickly is wagons, and building up rakes of wagons can be expensive. If you're willing to look at the older models again, you can build up rakes relatively quickly and cheaply. This bogey bolster we've got in front of us now is a Triang model. It cost a few pound from a swap meet. I've painted the deck a brown weathered wood colour and added stanchions using plastic components, Plastruct. Replace the wheels. Now that's the most important thing. Replace the wheels with Bachmann items, and as you can see, it's a Triang model from the late 60s, early 70s. underframe detail might not be up to much, but if you want a rake of bolsters that are free running, what they are when they're on the rails, free running, and look okay in a long rake, you can build a rake up relatively cheaply. All in all, £5 or £6 for one bogey bolster. That's good value for money in my eyes. Another wagon that is plentiful on the second-hand market are these Hornby TTA tank wagons. Now, compared to Bachmann's new model, yeah, they look a bit on the basic side. A bright red or yellow colour, thick ladders, but overall it's not a bad looking wagon and it represents the prototype pretty well. Again, like I said, if you want to build a block train of these, it doesn't take much work to bring one of these wagons to look something better like this. This started life as a red Texaco wagon, so it was totally stripped down. It was given a coat of primer and then a coat of Halford's grey, which represents most TTA tank wagons, and then new transfers, or in this case vinyl stickers, were added to keep the cost down. The most expensive thing was buying the etched brass laddering from Econ. As you can see, in my opinion, it looks a lot better than the bright red Texaco one, and a rake of these going round behind a diesel would look rather nice. I managed to pick up 12 or 13 of these tankers on eBay for about £12. So that's £12, add in your £4 for the decals, £8 for the paint and etc. You're looking at £20 for 13 tank wagons. I mean, the wheels underneath there you can see are slightly rusty, but they do need replacing. I don't think that's too bad at all, and that's the whole point in this video, is to show you that you can have a nice rake of decent wagons that you don't have to pay a premier price for. There are other wagons in my fleet that I've got. Don't get me wrong, I don't just buy... I mean, these Dapol steel hood carriers are excellent models. This one's fitted with a flashing tail lamp. But it's horses for courses, really. If you've got the cash, you buy the expensive stuff. If you're modelling on a budget, like all of us do at some point, it's nice to know that you can buy cheaper models like this bolster and the tanker to represent decent models that you can run on your layout, build up big rakes of stock, and as the title suggests, not to break the bank. Well, that's it for this video. I hope somebody somewhere found it informative and helpful. If only one person, then it's been worthwhile. But it just goes to show that with a little bit of patience, add in a few extra details like pickups, etc., you can turn 1980s, 1990s models into worthy candidates of even the most modern, up-to-date layout with digital control. So until next time, please like, share and subscribe. Leave any comments, any feedback's always welcome. And I'll speak to you in the next video. So until then, goodbye. Oh, not again. Dirty track, Scupper's filming again. There are no lights fitted to these coaches. Bloody hell. I spent many years stored in its box. I upgraded the DCC chip in this to a TCS T1 decoder. How many cars are going up there now?